Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Here are the words of one of America's greatest thinkers, Rodney Dangerfield, and I quote, "My luck is so bad that if I bought a cemetery, people would stop dying." Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot. Come on, call in. Don't you get lazy with our Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, good morning, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch on this Tuesday, September 13th. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Now, without further ado, our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You again?
I figured I'd do it this morning again. I was feeling peppy to do it. Word of the day, peppy.
Peppy. Word of the day. In I can't believe it, man. You sound like a new person.
Kind of like Pepe Le Pew, how he always kept that uppity attitude. Yeah.
You must have greased and oiled with WD-40 or something the spokes, huh? Well, go ahead and give us the pledge.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy, Wheels. And right now, we've got to get ready for the weather forecast. And our weather is brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for that blue door. Whatever you need to make your home a personalized, individualized home. And don't miss out on the fall sale happening all the way through October. Free pad with the purchase of a carpet. And get that project done before the holidays. And Kyle and Whitney Cheney were married in October. Well, my birthday's in October, so we're going to have a party. I'll tell you what, these are great folks. Carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items, all at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And now, here's the weather.
Well, good Tuesday morning, and here's a look at what we can expect as far as weather is concerned for today. It is going to be mostly cloudy for this morning, but hopefully we're going to see some sunshine by this afternoon. A little on the breezy side, winds out of the northeast right around 12 miles an hour. Expect a high of 69 tonight, low of 46. Tomorrow, clouds are going to stick around. Only a high of 60, overnight low of 41. By Thursday, lots of sunshine in the forecast, high of 70 with an overnight low of 40. And then as we move on into the weekend, looks like sunny skies, highs are going to be in the mid-70s. Yesterday's high was 59, the overnight low was 48. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thanks. She does a wonderful job. Busy lady. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, they're busy too, helping you at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, everything you need to make your house a home. All right, let's go. And by the way, Thursday is sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. You better believe it, at 11 a.m. in the morning, and they're located at 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Yes, sir, Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy. The sale that works for you. For consignment information and about the sale, 678-9411. That's the number to call, 678-9411. Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Big sale on Thursday, this Thursday at 11 a.m. All right, your calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, we're going to be over. Well, first of all, let me tell you this. I need some more bumper stickers, some more bumper Snickers. And send those to zeb@theranch@hotmail.com. Zeb@theranch. @hotmail.com. The anti-Hillary bumper Snickers. 6 words or less, and we've got a grand prize we're going to give the winner, and try to keep them clean. Okay, there you go. Don't forget, too, our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. Hello, Kevin and Cindy and the whole crew. My goodness, they're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And I want to stress the fact that now, if you're going to go hunting, you got everything ready to go, and you haven't unrolled that sleeping bag since last year, well, that'll knock your socks off. You better get that cleaned. All your winter coats, better get them cleaned now. Cooler weather coming. Stop in and see our friends at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They are the best. You know, the best also goes to our friends over at SafeLink Internet. They have been so nice to us and so helpful, and they've increased their support staff, their technical support staff, and they've got more hours to serve everybody. Why don't you get on the program today? SafeLink Internet. And the number to call is 677-8000. Fast, reliable, and serving you. SafeLink Internet. You get a hold of them today. All right, it's time for your calls, and I'm going to be very blunt all the way through this election cycle, and there's no reason not to be. If I don't like something or somebody, I'm going to call it as it is. And there are a lot of Democrats and liberals that I think are the editorial. I'm going to give you a little time. Go to your Times News this morning and read the reader comment editorial by Jerry Sturgill, the Democratic nominee for the United States Senate. He's going to be running against Mike Crapo. And when you're all done reading that, call me and tell me about that. There's the elitist attitude again. There's that Democratic, liberal, elitist attitude that Hillary is promoting to everybody. She's promoted this over the last couple of days and denigrated the rest of us. I guess I am in a basket this morning, and I can't get out because there's so many other deplorables in that basket like I am. One thing I want to say about Jerry Sturgill, he wasn't really thinking when he wrote his editorial, Idaho too great for imported hate. Well, down about two-thirds of the way in this editorial, he goes, Idahoans are independent thinking people. Well, Jerry, that's right. And that's why I have the right to my opinion about the refugees. I have the right to my opinion about Muslims coming into this area. I have my right to opinion. So thank you. I'm glad you said that, because your oxymoron in that sentence, based on the rest of your editorial, doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. So, you can tell I'm against Jerry Sturgill. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Like to meet the guy and tell him myself. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. We're going to be over there this Thursday, and I urge you strongly to come help support us. We're going to be there at 8 to 11 on my program, Remote Broadcast. Hats off to farmers. Salute our military. And before that, at 7 a.m. in the morning, we're going to have the Rupert Veterans Memorial serving biscuits and gravy, and it's only $3 a plate, and the proceeds go to the Christmas Helping Santa Fund. So please be there. And then during the broadcast, come on down and register. Zeb at the Ranch, my lovely bride, and I are going to be giving away not one, but two. We're going to be giving away 2 breakfasts. If you register, we're going to have the drawing in the last half hour of the program for breakfast at Denny's America's Diner. So don't miss that. Speaking of America's Diner, Well, first of all, let me remind you, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Hello! Stop over and see us this Thursday. Also, Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. Oh, you know about the breakfast. Oh, you know about the lunches and the dinners and the desserts and, oh, my goodness, the nice people. America's Diner. Yes, stop in and see them today. And I'm giving you an opportunity to win 2 free breakfasts at Denny's in Burley. So come on over to Ramsey Heating and Electric on Thursday and register, and we'll name the winners of our 2 big breakfasts at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner in Burley. There you go. All right, it's your turn. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hillary is sick. Hillary is sick. Not just physically, but also, I believe, mentally. I do. I believe that with all my heart and soul. She is a very disturbed elitist, and there is no cure for that symptom. Yes, Hillary Clinton has pneumonia. We think. That is a treatable problem. And she has other medical problems to which we are not educated or have been given the information to be educated as to what her problems are. However, her elitism came out to the forefront when she called 50% of the support for Donald Trump a basket of deplorables. I'm teed off. I don't particularly like Donald Trump. I've said that on past broadcasts. But I'm going to vote for him because I hate, and underline that word, and I use it and I believe in it, I hate elitists. I cannot stand people that think they are better, think they are smarter, think they are, because of their wealth, so much better than you and I. And think because of their politics that they deserve a higher calling. And that's why I use the word hate. There are some of the elitists of this ilk that live here in Magic Valley. And they are running for certain offices this fall. Now, the closer we get to the election, and I want you to remember this because I'm going to hold myself to this fire. The closer we get to the election this fall, I'm going to call them out and invite them here on the program, and if they don't have the nerve to come here face-to-face, they can at least call in on the phone. Or, if not, then we will see the cowards that they really are. And I absolutely am going to call them out on the... We have many that are running in that elitist attitude, and I think that you, the voter, should know who they are. I use the word hate. Some people criticize me when I say that word, but I do hate elitists. I do. That word is not strong enough. I cannot stomach or stand anybody that thinks because of a political standing or a monetary standing or whatever, they are better or more subjected to be better than anyone else. I can't stand that. I have friends that barely make maybe $10,000 a year. I have friends that make easily $50, $60 million a year. I have acquaintances all over this land. And I dare anybody to say that I have treated one better than the other. I can't stand elitists. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Now it's your turn. Come on. Let's give them a call. Let's keep this ball rolling down the alley. We might hit some pins. Barry Equipment and Rental. Don't forget 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They've got a repair shop at the Burley location that absolutely is phenomenal. They can fix anything from small engines to the big dudes, the big heavy equipment. And, of course, the equipment rentals and equipment sales. They're there to serve you, and they have all the equipment to get the job done right. Please stop in and see them at South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Barry Equipment and Rental. Real quick, while I'm waiting for your phone calls, that better start coming in, or you're going to have to go to the blackboard and write 5,000 times. I should have called Zeb. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I'm going there at 1 o'clock this afternoon. I start my first swimming treatment this afternoon in the hydrotherapy pool. Yeah, I know I'm going to look like a beached whale. But, It's helped me so doggone much, Nick Greenwell and the rest of the physical therapists. And let's face it, I got a mountain to climb. I had total knee put in 2 years ago, and now a total hip and other problems in between with the old ticker and everything. Man, I feel good, though. I'm rejuvenated. I'm a new man, literally, all the new parts. Anyway, call 678-1191. They can help you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Oh, come on. Did we sleep in this morning? Fluff the pillow, did we? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call right now. You talk about elitists, and I've mentioned this story before, and I will not mention names on this. Many people might pick up on who it is. I'll get to that in just a minute, but right now let's take this call. Good morning, you're on the air. Thank you.
I've got a big question for you.
Oh, my goodness, what is it?
Just as I turned the radio on, your cohort, Steve, said that Hillary had died. Have you heard anything?
No, and the national news, I did not. Deanne, we'll check that out. I can't imagine a statement like that, and I don't know what it was out of context from, but we will check it out. Deanne, come in here and see on the national news. Go right away. There was something said. You sure you heard it just presented like that, right, Dal?
Well, the fact he says I'll have more at 11 o'clock.
Well, yeah, but that kind of a statement, I'm not going to criticize Steve. He may have had reasons for saying it, but we'll check it out. And I hesitate sometimes to use some kind of a glorified statement like that, so I'll just let it go until I find out more about it, Dal. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, sometimes I'm not going to get into those super outrageous statements, but we'll find out. Steve probably had some kind of a reason. We'll check that out. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Are you feeling lonesome?
Why?
Well, because nobody wants to call you.
No, I never feel lonesome. I'm very comfortable in my own skin and have had many, many conversations with the person that I get along with the best, me.
Well, before you get carried away, maybe we can talk about something then, huh?
Oh, just a minute. I've got to tell myself something. Go ahead. Okay, now I'm ready. Go ahead.
This Hillary deal, Zeb, I mentioned it the other day. You've had pneumonia, I've had pneumonia, and what the doctor always tells you to do is stop. You've got to have bed rest and take it easy in order to keep going. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, your activities, your going from hot to cold, inside and out, being around other people, there's all kinds of problems with walking pneumonia that can all of a sudden lay you right down on the floor.
Yeah, she came back too suddenly to, like she was real perky and everything else, but she's not. She's got problems and I think it's in her head.
Well, wait a minute, though, Keith. Wait a minute, Keith. Wait. Just a second.
There's problems.
Keith, wait a minute. Let me inject something here. We're assuming that she has pneumonia. We really don't know the net root of the problem, do we?
No, we don't, and I don't believe that she does have it, because she wouldn't be as active as she is if she did, because it just continues to get worse and worse if you don't just slow down and take it easy, and you'll get over it.
Well, I think that there are numerous other problems, and I kind of berated the story on Monday. If you'll recall, you listen every day faithfully. If you'll recall on Monday's program yesterday, I chided the happenings in New York. It was a balmy, nice fall September afternoon at that 911 ceremony. It was only about 75 degrees, so the heat factor wasn't much. The humidity factor was very low, and all of her aides blamed it on the stifling heat. Well, that was a lie to begin with. So the problem is exacerbated far worse than what we think it is.
Yeah, and what was that thing that they dropped on the ground there as she was getting in the car? It's like, a medication that's wrapped up. You have to unwrap it real quick and give them an injection or something.
Yeah. Let me ask you this.
Much more about that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you one final question. I got to do a commercial break here, Keith. But if it had not been for that video that was taped on a cell phone, we would not have known about any of these health problems. Do you agree with that?
I agree 100%. And if you go to these other so-called news channels, you don't hear them talking about it.
No, that's right. Keith, God bless you, man. I appreciate your call. Thank you.
You have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thanks to my lovely bride, she just pulled something off the wire service that came in from a Google search, and it says heavy alert in dark black letters. Hillary Clinton death tops Google trends after ABC News wrongly reports Hillary Clinton as dead. Deanna's just got that off the wire service not more than 30 seconds ago. One has to be extremely careful. That's why we verify everything on this program. I'm not ever going to get on this show and say something that's going to back me into a corner or taint my program. And I just absolutely thank Deanne for checking everything out real quick for me, because, no, don't listen to everything, don't read everything and think it's absolutely bona fide fact. Don't do that. Be careful. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, too, our dear friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, my goodness sakes, yes. And the number to call, 312-0957. And, Deanne, if you'd turn on that other source, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. And the number to call, again, 312-0957. With a hearing screening program for you, so that if you're having trouble hearing, you can go there, take one of the hearing screening tests, and she can help. Absolutely. Dr. Christine Pickup, the only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I want to go back to this story on Hillary. And just makes you very, very cautious that rumors have been going around like a whirlwind about Hillary's health and or whether she's going to make it, whether or not she has died, whether or not she's alive and well and ready to start back on the campaign trail. We've got to wait and verify, trust but verify everything that Ronald Reagan said. And you've got to be oh so careful. I do know for a fact, though, I can tell you this, that the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, is going to be meeting later on this afternoon, I think Eastern time at 6 p.m. And they're quaking in their Gucci's right now that they may have to replace Hillary as their top nominee candidate. And I heard that story this morning at exactly 20 minutes to 5 and verified that story. And they're developing an 11th hour contingency plan with another candidate. You can fill in the blanks there, Biden, whomever. I honestly don't think that if they have to go to that contingency plan, if they have to go to someone else, I think Tim Kaine will be the last person that they will want on the slot for the presidency. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear from you right now. Give me a call. And, we rely on a lot of different news sources here at this office, and believe me, we've got a lot of people that are working for us and sending us information from Washington, New York, every hour on the hour that we're on the air. And I'd like to thank my lovely wife, for Deanne, for helping and getting a hold of some of those sources. Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money on Lennox. Don't hesitate. I really need you to call 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Made the comment yesterday, and evidently some people didn't hear it correctly, but I absolutely stand behind my statement that I do not like Hillary, her ideology, her politics, the way she has conducted her politics, etc., nor her husband Bill. But when it comes to health issues, and I'm very clear about this, I draw the line on criticism of anyone. I, as every human being should, have feelings of concern for anybody that has had some major problems. And dating back to her falls and her hitting her head, all of those are very, very serious issues and have nothing to do with a political stance or a political ideology. And I look at people that say, well, that's too bad, that's good for that old girl. No, I will never, ever go there. Because I hear too many pundits that stick their neck on the line waiting for the axe to come down when they criticize somebody or belittle somebody when they're in a severe health-stressed condition. I don't care if they're Democrat. I don't care if they're Republican. I don't care if they're Islamic. I don't care if they're Lutheran, Mormon, Methodist. I don't care what their background is. I'm concerned for people when they have a health issue. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What is going on in our society today? And when I heard this story, I did not see it. I did not watch it. But I heard about an attack on live TV on that television show Dancing with the Stars on Ryan Lochte. As if he didn't have enough problems to be concerned about after the Olympics, and now he's on the dance floor for a television show and somebody attacks him? We'll have more on that in a moment. Caller, go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm with you. I don't wish anybody any ill will. I hope Hillary does recover. And another thing I hope is that she starts to be honest with the public, because my thing is that's pretty selfish if you're hiding a major medical condition just so you could be elected president, so you can go down in history as the first woman elected.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, and I knew you would call on this because you're a good Christian man and you care about people. There's a dividing line there. I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideology on my own that I try to follow and adhere to. Now, that's not accepted by some people, but that's tough. Doug, that is my ideology and what I believe in. But I draw the line in the sand When it comes to health issues, whether it's a heart attack, whether it's cancer, whether it's something like a knock on the head that might have caused a depletion of person's ability, all of that, I pray for these people because I don't want anybody to go through that kind of circumstance.
Exactly. I mean, you're only human if you, or I mean, caring if you don't want somebody to have ill will. If you wish ill will on somebody, then you need to take a deep look in the mirror and your heart and see where you really stand.
Well, listen to this, though. About a week and a half ago when Phyllis Schlafly died, you know, Phyllis was a very well-known conservative and had a newsletter and a blog and everything. I read a lot of what she had to say. And the left-wing bloggers came out of the woodwork the day that she died. And they said, oh, good, the Wicked Witch is dead, and boy, I hope somebody murdered her, you know, all this kind of stuff. That is so trashy. We have lost our humanism in this country, and quite frankly, around the world. We've lost our humanism, and we've been all like roboticized into believing a certain ideology, and that should never take the place of being a human being.
It shouldn't, and this is what you get when you boo God.
Absolutely.
I mean, you turn your back on God, the devil takes over, and this is what you get.
Well, you know, I'll go back to and we have to be so careful. You and I both know this. We talked about this one time. We have to be so careful about rumors. We have to be so careful about internet stories. We have to be so careful about information that is coming down the pipeline from all different angles. You have to, and I'll go back and I'll use that sentence and phrase again by President Reagan, trust but verify. You have to know the facts before you stick your toe in the water.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Hillary, had she been a little more honest with us people on all of these other scandals that have happened, maybe we'd believe the pneumonia deal. But, I mean, when you're lied to so many times by the same person and just deny, and lie, what are you going to believe when she tells you something?
Absolutely.
Are you going to believe it, or are you going to just say, hey, she's lying again, let's dig deeper, find out what's going on?
Well, when you look at the politics of the situation with her, Hillary, and exclude everything about her medical happenings and worried about her health, but just concentrate on what she said about the basket full of deplorables. Right there, she has alienated at least 100 million people. Now, for a country our size, and to alienate that many right off the get-go, what kind of stupid politics is that?
That's called shooting yourself in the foot.
Both feet.
Yeah, I mean, and I listened to Rush Limbaugh a little bit yesterday, and he was saying he's coming out with a T-shirt. It's going to be in the Rush Limbaugh about the basket of deplorables. I'm among the 47% or something like that.
Well, you know, Doug...
And I'll take that label.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm going to wear that label proudly because I'm sick and tired of the elitists in this country calling us racists and bigots because we have concerns. You have concerns about what are going on in this country. I have concerns about what's happening in our country, whether it's with the refugees, whether it's with our borders, whether it's with our economy, whether it's with ISIS. I don't care what the concerns are. We have a right to be worried. We have a right to voice those opinions. But the elitists seem to think that, that's off grounds and we've got to follow in lockstep with them right over the cliff.
Well, didn't we fight a revolutionary war to defeat a government that tells us everything we got to do?
Yeah, kind of. I remember that. Gee, I think I read about it in the old textbooks that used to have that in its entirety.
Used to have the full history in it, didn't they?
Yeah. Hey, buddy, I got to run. Thank you. Thank you.
God bless.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Ark Animal Hospital. These are nice people over there. Really nice people. At Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Hayburn. Yeah, and you know, I love their slogan. They have warm hearts for cold noses. Yep. Ark Animal Hospital is a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they love them all. You better believe it. And right now, for the month of September, they're having a fundraiser for the Cassia County Canine units. Yep, they're helping to support all the dogs in the canine unit. And what it's going to do, let's see, they're collecting donations, and anybody that wants to buy a paw print for $1, it'll be hung in the lobby over at Ark Animal Hospital, and it goes to the ongoing health care for the dogs, the equipment, and the food. This is a nice gesture. Get over there and buy a paw print for only $1 at Ark Animal Hospital in Hayburn. Warm hearts for cold noses. I love that. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to need your help on this because I don't want to say the wrong thing if you know that there is a circumstance that is different from what I'm about to talk about. I do not know of one white athlete that has not stood up for the national anthem since the NFL started. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I'm sitting here, and I'm, here I go, I'm going to sound racist again, but I'm not trying to be. These black football millionaires that are so oppressed that feel the need to kneel or sit down or pump their fists in the air, most are making right now, and I did a little survey on this and ran the numbers last night, most are making between $95,000 and $150,000 per game. Think about that. 3 hours on television on a Sunday afternoon. And some are making between $90,000 and $150,000 per game. In the case of Colin Kaepernick, a 5-year contract, $5 million, a $15 million contract, and he's getting on an average per game, based on the 4 preseason games and the regular season games, he's getting approximately $150,000 a game. Here in America, where else and who else would ever pay or stand for his amateurish idiocy? I mean, really. Go over to Russia, and they play the Russian national anthem, and he's going to be in a gulag, for heaven's sakes. Venezuela, Cuba, the list goes on. How about, let's move over to China or North Korea. North Korea, at a cabinet meeting just about 2 weeks ago, one of the cabinet members fell asleep with his hand under his chin. They sentenced him the next day to death. But yet here, in this country, we have these that are saying, oh, the oppressed and everything else. And if it wasn't for this great country and all it affords these young, very ill-informed athletes, where else would they go? Time for the weather. And the weather is brought to you by the Urgent Cares, Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, and, of course, Urgent Care of Jerome and Urgent Care in Twin Falls. Minor emergencies, I cut my hand, or a break or a sprain or whatever, major care. No appointments necessary. It's quicker and less expensive. All 3 locations serving you. Go to their website, urgentcareofidaho.com. Here now is the weather.
Well, good Tuesday morning, and here's a look at what we can expect as far as weather is concerned for today. It is going to be mostly cloudy for this morning, but hopefully we're going to see some sunshine by this afternoon. A little on the breezy side, winds out of the northeast right around 12 miles an hour. Expect a high of 69 tonight, low of 46. Tomorrow, clouds are going to stick around. Only a high of 60, overnight low of 41. By Thursday, lots of sunshine in the forecast, high of 70 with an overnight low of 40. And then as we move on into the weekend, looks like sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-70s. Yesterday's high was 59. The overnight low was 48. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you. Brought to you by the Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care, 382 North Overland and Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin Falls. And Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You got me worked up, old buddy. You know, and I've come to the conclusion there's only two classes of people in America, the elitist and then the people, the ordinary people like you or I. Now, to be an elitist doesn't necessarily mean you're the wealthiest. It means that you think you know what's best for everyone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, and it is so evident. You know, when my wife went to high school in Twin Falls, she moved there from Washington when she was probably a freshman, something like that. But the kids there is two classes of people. And you can say what you want, but it was divided. And some of these just thought they were the greatest thing in the world. And even today, my wife does not enjoy going to one of their class reunions because these people haven't changed any. And yet, she would go to my class reunion, and we have a great time.
You know, it's so interesting to hear you bring up high schools and classes and those that had their nose so far up in the air, if it rained, they drown. You know, certain people like that, they just irritate me. They just really irritate me. Every class has had them since time back hundreds of years, every class. But you know, why is it, Keith, that there are people that drive around and they make sure they've got the best car, they make sure they got the best home, they make sure on the golf course and everything, and they look down on people. They look down on people maybe because of a financial status. They look down on people because of a job status. They look down on people. Why? I mean, like I said earlier, I've got friends that are barely making a living, and I've got friends that are set for the rest of their life and their kids and their grandkids. I try to treat them all the same.
Yeah, and that's certainly true. But, you know, after being in the car business for 38 years, I learned a lot from some people. These people who are of the elite, even though they're not real wealthy, like to pretend they are.
You have hit the nail on the head.
Beyond their means.
Yeah.
And because they know it's confidential and everything like that. Now, on the other hand, I belong to the LDS Church, and, you know, I'm proud of it. But in my ward, I think we have 5 doctors. And I'll tell you what, I'd go to the end of earth for any one of them, because they are just simply great people.
I understand. Keith, I got to run right now, but I appreciate your call. Thank you again.
You bet.
All right. Hey, don't forget on Fridays, I'm not on the air Friday. Thursday, we have the segment with Denny's with the football trivia question at 9:12. And I'll give you, if you win, an original Grand Slam breakfast over at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. So be listening on Thursdays at 9:12 for that trivia question. And this week, it's going to be a tough one. So get ready. Put your thinking caps on. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What are your thoughts? Honestly, I'd like to hear from some of the ladies in the audience about Hillary Clinton. And, boy, when she said that about a basket full of deplorables, you know, we're not all lumped into thinking the same, which is good, But saying that, well, Trump and his basket of deplorables, the homophobics, the Islamophobics, all the phobics and everything. Okay, stop. I'm going to be really honest here. Yeah, there's lifestyles I don't like. Yes, there's lifestyles I will never, ever support. Yes, there are things that go against the Bible and prophecy in the Bible that I can never stand for, and I won't. And I will not stand for an influx of people coming into this country on our dime, robbing our Social Security system, and also receiving free housing, health care, education, etc. No! Wait a minute. Back the bus up, Gus. Let's think about the American taxpayer a little bit. Let's think about what he's tried to sock away for a retirement. It's so easy to give, and then you can't take care of yourself. And that's where we're at. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. That's why when I read this editorial by this Jerry Sturgill, Democratic nominee for the United States Senate, he's going to be running against Republican Mike Crapo. I'm going to go out of my way, Jerry, old boy, to really denigrate you and your campaign. I don't want you to be my United States Senator. I don't want you to get very much of the vote at all. I am going to do all I can to see that you don't, because of your elitist thinking. How about that, Jerry? Call me. We'll have lunch. Call my people. We'll call your people. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your next phone call, did you hear about Iran? They're doing it again to us. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Don't forget about the fall tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are our major sponsor. We are so thankful to them, and they are such great people. And when it comes to tires, believe me, they're having a big sale right now, and a lot of their tires are at prices that you can't afford to pass up. Like for your passenger cars, they've got that, great tire. Love hay fever season. That great tire, the Ultra Z900, all-season tread, 65 to 80,000 mile warranty. Oh my goodness, it's on sale now. Wow. Along with a lot of great tires. You get on in there at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget, too, we're talking 7 locations that can serve you with the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Just the other day, I heard one of my friends say, I went out, turned on the four-wheel wonder, and the old battery went ka-thunk, ka-thunk, ka-thunk. Didn't do anything. Well, stop in and see them today. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Here's Iran playing tough guy again. They are threatening to shoot down our planes that are flying in international airspace, over international waters. We are paying these... I got to really be careful here because I'm not going to use the word I was going to. We are paying these people billions and billions of dollars, and these disgusting degenerates that run their government are threatening us. They keep threatening us. I mean, what does the White House do? What does the Obama administration do? Nothing. You know, oh, well, they shouldn't do that. Why, we're going to draw a line in the sand if they do, well, in this case, the water or the air. I mean, what are they doing? Nothing. I honestly believe, and I'll go along with Britt Hume. You know what? That old boy's a tough old boy. He's kind of past his prime on the news, but he's back on, took over a program on Fox. But Britt Hume said, hey, it's time to shoot some of these guys out of the water. And it's really the truth. The next little speedboat, one of those little dart-in, dart-out boats with about maybe 5 or 6 of their commandos, comes out and harasses our ship. It's time to just, boop! Where'd they go? Gee, I don't know. They were there a minute ago. They must have disappeared. But enough is enough. We are being harassed. We are being threatened. We are being laughed at by a group of camel jockey leaders in Iran. And it's going to get worse. Coming up next hour, we are going to talk about a subject that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And as a matter of fact, they run and they put a pillow over their head, or they shut the closet door and they go, can't hear you, can't hear you. We're going to talk about death and dying and what needs to be done. A lot of people don't want to talk about that subject. And we're going to talk to our dear friend, Joel Heward at Hanson Mortuary. Then at 9:30, one of my favorite people that knows all about energy or the lack of, Marita Noon, is going to be on. And then at 10:06, we've got Dr. History. And at 10:32, Daniel Greenfield is going to talk about Hillary and the elitism that we've been discussing already this morning. Take a little break, send it back over to Wheels and the crew at the main studios. I'll be back in about 6 minutes. And a good morning to you, Zeb at the Ranch. And I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Our major sponsor, and we're very thankful. And along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
You know, Western Waste Services, they are so conscientious and get the job done right. Always at your disposal. We've been on that route service where they come by, pick up the garbage every Thursday like clockwork. You can almost set your watch by these fellas. And really good people. Western Waste Services, call, get on the route service today, 734-6969. Locally owned and operated, always at your disposal. Really good folks. Don't forget, we start every morning off at 8:06 with the weather forecast brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley with Kyle and Whitney Cheney. Look for that blue door. Whatever you need to make your house a home, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. You stop in and see them today, okay? Let's see, I got one other little note here that I need to take care of real fast. Oh, my goodness, yes, Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Let's not forget to tell you all about that. Lennox Home Comfort Systems at Ramsey Heating and Electric, offering rebates on qualified Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps, whatever. You'll save money and enjoy the comfort thanks to Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. You know, it's been a little while since we've had this gentleman on my program, and I keep saying this every day on the air, but he is so professional, so courteous, and so nice, and so helpful in the community that it's an honor to have him on the program and visit about his business, and that's Joel Heward from Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. Good morning, Joel. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today.
You know, every time I see you, you make me envious because I've never seen you without a smile on your face.
Well, that's one thing I've been blessed with, and I know it, I've known it for a long time, and that's my smile. I guess I just can't help it.
Well, that's all right. It kind of makes people wonder what you're up to.
I suppose.
Okay.
I just have to live with it. You could say it's a curse, but most of all, it's a blessing, and I'm comfortable with it.
No, I think it's an absolute asset. And, you know, talking about your business, now, let's be very blunt here. Talking about your business, it makes some people kind of scratch their arms and go, ooh, I don't want to talk about death and dying. But after all, it is a fact of life. I know it's not going to be a great conversation starter at a party, but we all should know what's going on, shouldn't we?
We definitely should. And, contrary, it seems to be a conversation starter for me. If I come around, that's what they want to ask. But, it's definitely not the topic that people love to discuss or love to hurry and run out and take care of. But it is a necessary, life event. It's something that happens to everyone, and it's a major event when it does occur, and something that requires a lot of attention, and there's a lot of emotion, just like other major life events like weddings and births of children and things like that. They require a lot of change and adjustment. But one of the ones that's least enjoyable, definitely, and we understand that. So we put a lot of effort into trying to make people as comfortable as we can, helping them through it as easy and as stressless as we can.
Right.
Because there is a lot of stress, and I've shared this story with a lot of my customers and people that have come in. The first time I'm not a person that stresses easy. The first time I really can pinpoint, I felt the physical effects of stress was the death of my own mother, and I was a licensed practicing funeral director at the time, and I just didn't feel well, and I thought, geez, what's going on? And then it just dawned on me that, it was the stress of the whole situation.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that stress. And I think this is a subject that all of us should pay attention to. A loved one dies. And quite frankly, my mother, my father have both passed away. Most all of my relatives have been gone for quite some time. But yet the stress of, oh my goodness, what do I do? How do I get things coordinated with the rest of the family members? What funeral home? Where do we go? Who do we call? All of that comes up, doesn't it?
It sure does. There's people that, in times of an unexpected death, of course, it's never fully expected, but some are more unexpected than others. There's just a lot of confusion and, that stress, and the other half of the mortuary that I try to relay to people is the fact of, yes, we have to take care of those people at the time a death occurs, but we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy, and it just doesn't ever get the recognition of being a part of this business that it deserves, is the effort and time put in by our staff.
Yeah.
All funeral homes in general, of their staff trying to help people pre-plan, pre-arrange, be prepared to the extent that they can and to the extent that they feel comfortable for when those events happen.
Now,
they will happen, and we know that.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Now, I understand that you have what's called a planning guide, and it basically simplifies, but yet it outlays everything that people need to know in a very stressful situation that needs to be done beforehand that may eliminate a lot of the stress to the rest of the family. Can you describe that a little bit?
Well, what we have available to anybody that walks in or wants one is a 2-page, we call it a 2-page planner guide. So everybody in the office, everybody on staff, even the 4, well, the youngest boy wouldn't know, but even the 3 older Heward boys will know what this 2-page planner guide is if you come in and ask for one. It just gives a spot for people to write down the pertinent information so they can have it, they can put it with their special papers so that their family at that time can pull that information up. We like to keep a copy of it, but if it's not pertinent for us to keep a copy, you at least have a copy to give to your family. They know, okay, well, so-and-so has this. This is his personal information, a social security number, where to find certain papers, where this person maybe served in the military service, things like that, and specifically what type of funeral arrangements they may be partial to.
Now, when you say that on special funeral arrangements, here we go again. We're right up to what we started again on this program. People get the little heebie-jeebies. They get the little nervousness. They go, oh, well, my goodness, if I start planning for it, that's almost like saying I've got one foot in the grave already. I mean, why are we so afraid to talk about something that needs to be done?
Well, because I personally believe it's because we all know it's uncomfortable. It's a hard, difficult time. None of us like separation. None of us like to be away. And we've all experienced it or seen someone experience it. We know it's just not a fun experience. There is beauty at times in seeing an elderly loved one who's lived a full life go. It's still difficult. Even though it can be a special time on cases like that, but it's still hard. And everybody, I believe, knows that. And so then the result is we tend to put it off.
Okay, we've got a caller with a question for you, Joel. Caller, quickly, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Good morning. I would just recommend to all your listeners out there, to get the preparation, take a lot of the stress off your family by getting everything lined up. I know when both of my parents have passed away, but everything was taken care of pretty much in advance, and it took a lot of stress. I mean, there's such an emotional strain anyway, but to have to plan a funeral if everything is pretty much lined out, everything's pretty much taken care of, written down, paid for, and so forth in advance, it just takes a lot of the stress, and you can relax a little bit more and celebrate the death of your spouse or your mother or your father and so forth. And I would certainly recommend what you're saying there is to get ahead, get it planned, get it paid for, and that way there's just takes a lot of the financial burden off of the rest of the family as well.
All right.
That's my comment I'd like to make, because it certainly worked out for us.
I appreciate that, caller. Thank you very much. Joel, that man has been through it. A lot of us have been through it with our family members, etc. But what would you suggest to people that are listening right now this morning? Maybe there's people that are out in outlying areas. Maybe there are people that are physically challenged and they can't get in to see you. I mean, what can they do? How can they get the information?
Well, number one, give us a call. We will make the effort to get to you if you're not able to come to us. We will get you that information because, like we said, yeah, we want you to think of our funeral home when that time comes. But more than not, we want you to at least make that experience as pleasant as it can be. And having that information, starting somewhere by getting like this guide, or at least having that conversation with a loved one, is a great place to start. When the rest of it, maybe you're not ready. Maybe you can't do it, parts of it. But you know what? You can always start. You can always get the information down, and that's a good place to give their family, loved ones, a head start and some comfort. Something is better than nothing, and we all know that. And give us a call. I think we're very well suited to coming out to your areas, the far reaches of our counties. We are licensed in 2 states to operate, in the state of Utah and the state of Idaho. I have the license to work in both. We can come to you. It will not be an issue. And you know what? We just appreciate those that have taken the time to call upon us and ask us to serve them. It really is an honor, and my family and I thank you both. And, we just love what we're doing and what we do. It's a great profession that I have been blessed to become a part of, and I just enjoy what I do.
I've got to ask.
Calling and pleasure to be able to do this when people ask us and to serve people we know and love.
You know, I got to ask you this, Joel, and I think we've talked about this in programs past, but now correct me if I'm wrong. You grew up as a farm boy here in Magic Valley. I mean, where all of a sudden did the light switch go on that says, Joel Heward, you will become a funeral director?
Well, it definitely is a story I have to tell. So if you want to hear it, you might want to sit down in private with me. I'll be happy to share it. You know, it's not something I just fell into. Something that was presented to me, and it just was I just knew that was something I should do and that I would do, and I didn't turn back ever since.
You know, I got to ask you this. You have, and I alluded to it at the opening, a smile and a warmth, and that's what it takes to be in your profession. I mean, you have to be very warm personality, very friendly personality, and you have all those attributes. And what hours are you open so that if people want that information, they want that brochure, they can be sure and contact you?
Well, the time the doors open is usually by 9 o'clock, unless I get a bunch of phone calls before then.
Okay.
Can't get my pants on or something. But usually we're open from 9 to 5, and where we live here at our funeral home, that's something we can offer to our customers and our community is a more flexible time frame and hours for drop-off, pick-up, and come by and stop-ins. And we have a lot of people just stop in to visit and play puzzles that we have sitting out and things like that, and just visit with us, and we enjoy that. So if it needs to be at a time that's convenient for you, especially if you're coming from a long ways away, you know, we understand that lifestyle. You know, we're more than happy to make arrangement and be here to meet you, or stay open a little longer or a little earlier if that's the time that you got to come in. And you know, we just understand that. I grew up around livestock and farming, so you know, I know what things have to be done and the schedules that have to be done on, and you know, 9 to 5 isn't always the opportune time. So,
well, I want to tell you how much I appreciate.
Often, so.
I appreciate your coming on the program this morning, and let me just say this. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, and the number to remember and write down, 436-5636. Joel Heward, the manager, his family and staff. Joel, you're number one in our book. God bless you, man, and thank you for taking the time to come on our program.
Hey, thank you for having me.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. One of the very nice people, and that's Joel Heward. I mean, I've never seen him without a smile on his face, and he's always got something good to say about something or somebody, and I appreciate that. Calls are welcome, and I'd thank you. We've got about 8 minutes left in this segment, so give us a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There was some chatter going on locally and nationally that was spreading a rumor that, and I guess there's no other way to approach this but to be very blunt, that Hillary had died. No. During the news break at 9 o'clock, I called Washington, D.C. and also New York. And a New York State television station affiliated with ABC had made a very erroneous report about Hillary Clinton passing away. And unfortunately, some in this area also picked up on that story and repeated that headline. That is not true. It is false. And we want to absolutely stymie that thought. And it's just too bad that people and news agencies can't check and verify before they let their BB gun brain overrun their shotgun mouth. Anyhow, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say. While I'm waiting for your call, I would like to also mention our dear friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. You go to bed at night with the idea of having a great night's sleep, and then all of a sudden your partner goes, and start snoring. Oh, well, you'd better check out the Beauty Rest Smart Motion Base powered by Sleep Tracker. The snore button automatically adjusts the bed to reduce snoring. You've heard about these. You better check it out. And they've got them right there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, along with all your other furniture, all your bedroom sets, dining room sets, everything at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Oh my, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Also want to talk about Let's Ride. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we are hoping this weekend to get up in the hills and enjoy some of the fall's best. The leaves are just starting to turn, and the weather is really, really nice. So be sure and stop in to Let's Ride and check out the 2016 four-wheelers and the side-by-sides at closeout prices. And don't forget the new 2017s are coming in. They're coming in, and they've got a fantastic accessory department. Everything you might need for accessories right there. And the service department, oh my goodness, these guys can fix anything. So there you go. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, open Monday through Saturday 9 to 6, and they are where the fun is sold. You stop over and see them today. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Also, while you're over in that area, I heartily suggest that you make preparation and call before you go over there. Make an appointment at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. And the number to call, 436-4424. Write that down. Excuse me, call. I love hay fever. Holy smokes. Anybody else out there got hay fever season going? 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, for your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, and more. Great service to you, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. All right, now it's your turn. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, Colin Kaepernick and the rest of the non-appreciative, non-respectful athletes that are taking up Colin Kaepernick's politics, I find despicable. But I was really happy to read an editorial in the USA Today yesterday from a new citizen that had lived 19 years in the United States and was getting everything taken care of to apply for a full United States citizenship, take all the tests, know everything. And this person, Adam Bergman, became a full United States citizen on August 26th. And he wrote an editorial about Colin Kaepernick. Simply said, "New U.S. citizen to Kaepernick. Stand up." And I thought it was an excellent editorial. If you get a chance, it was in yesterday's USA Today. And he said, if Kaepernick wants to protest police brutality, then by all means he should direct his protest at the police, the appropriate government agencies or individuals. By directing his protest at the Star-Spangled Banner, Kaepernick, who himself is living the American dream, is disrespecting the cultural significance we Americans place on the flag and share as a country. He is undermining the national, cultural, and patriotic events that were its foundation. As a new United States citizen, his behavior makes me cringe. Thank you, Mr. Bergman. And I just wish more people would stand out, speak out against these black athletes that feel they have to be and want to be something more than what they really are. They're black, overpaid athletes earning many, many millions of dollars and not handling their political protest at all in the proper way. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to have our 9:30 guest, and it's one of my favorite people on the air, and that, of course, is Marita Noon. And she knows more about energy, or the lack of in this country, or how it's being manipulated by our government than anybody else. And she has written a book called Energy Freedom. She's got a great blog, and I just absolutely have nothing but respect for her every time she's on the air. And we'll check over with Wheels right now, my engineer, and see if she is ready to go. What about it, Wheels?
Yep, she's ready for you, sir.
Yep, okay. Well, let's just go right to that door and open it and say good morning to the lovely Marita Noon. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm delighted to be with you as always, Zeb.
You know, what's it like living in Texas as compared to the Roadrunner state of New Mexico?
Well, I'm in Lubbock, and frankly, it's real similar, except for there's no mountains. The weather is lovely, and I'm enjoying it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been to Texas.
Better, let me tell you that. The politics for oil and gas are a whole lot better.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get right to the crux of the matter. Marita, we're really, I think, going to take a left hook to the jaw if Hillary Clinton is elected as president, or if we do get any nominee for president that's from the left. And you wrote a very interesting piece that I just had handed to me this morning about ethanol is the wrong solution. And it really kind of lays it out as to the more we use ethanol... Pardon me?
Yeah, it's very interesting that ethanol was proposed as a solution, in part at least, for climate change, and it actually adds to the CO2 emissions if you believe that is a big concern.
Well, there again, I don't think that man is causing any kind of climate change.
But even if you do, it's not a big concern, is the point.
Well, we talked about methane gas a week previous, and now we're talking about ethanol, and now we're talking about various studies. Where are we on this? It seems like the left is always coming up with some reason to cut back on our energy programs.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Evidently, Wheels, I don't know what's happening at the station, but we're having a cutout problem. We're going to have to really fix that.
Yeah, we had a problem with that a week or two ago.
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening, and it seems to be primarily with calls to you and other people that I have regularly. But let's get right to the crux of the problem. I said that the left is always dreaming up ways to hit the media and say how bad energy is for this country. Would you concur with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my column this week that was I just sent out today. It's on townhall.com and a variety of other outlets. Is entitled that despite claims to the contrary, science says fracking not causing increased earthquakes. And you know, we had and I'm jumping topics here, but it answers your question. And there was a big earthquake in Oklahoma on September 3. And that earthquake, when that happened, all their news reports jumped out immediately and blamed fracking.
Oh, my goodness. Automatically.
But it's not the cause of it. But they, you know, like you said, they're always looking for some way to badmouth oil.
Okay, so where are we right now, Marita, in your opinion? We see people pushing for more ethanol in our gas mixtures. Go ahead, please.
Cut out again.
I said, where are we as far as energy today? We see more and more push for ethanol in our gasoline. We're going to be seeing more and more wear and tear on our engines, especially our smaller engines. I mean, what's going on here, and how do we stop this trend?
Well, there are several bills in Congress that are aimed at ending ethanol. Ending the ethanol mandate or reforming the ethanol mandate. There are several bills in Congress. I don't think they will actually see any action this year. There are higher priorities in Congress than ethanol right now. So, again, it comes down to the November election. I believe that if Hillary Clinton is elected, which as of today is looking less and less likely, but if Hillary Clinton is elected, I believe she will support ethanol because the Democratic platform has a mandate for 100% renewable energy by 2050. So I believe Hillary will support ethanol. Now, I know some other people who disagree with that, and the other people, some other people I know, they're on my side of the issue, think that Hillary may side with the Greens because the Greens have now really come out against ethanol. And this report that I cite is one of those reasons.
Now, we have a caller with a question, and we'll go with that caller, and then I'll come back. And caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Thank you.
I was kind of wondering if it's a trend outwards, Zeb, around here. I don't know if you're seeing, but I'm seeing that a lot of the gas suppliers are not putting ethanol blend in anymore. I'm wondering if that's going on elsewhere also, or because I prefer not to have ethanol in my fuel, get better gas mileage and everything.
Absolutely. Marita, what is
question? Thank you.
What is the circumstance about that? Is it a political mandate by the Obama administration that they have to put a certain amount in, or can people opt out of having it in the gasoline?
Well, there are some places that do sell 100% gasoline with no ethanol, and usually when they do that, they advertise it. They'll have a big sign saying, that this is 100% gasoline, no ethanol, because people realize that it does hurt engines, and especially in farming areas, more rural areas that have a lot of agricultural equipment. They want 100% pure gasoline with no ethanol. So you see it there a little more. So they can do that, but here's the deal. The way the law was written, they are required to have, the refiners are required to have a certain amount of ethanol blended into their total gasoline supply. So if they have some gasoline that has no ethanol, they've got to have like E85, which is the gasoline blend that is 85% ethanol and 15% gasoline, so that it balances out. I hope that makes sense.
Are there stories that you know of with the increased amount of ethanol being used that we have seen damage to equipment, that we've seen damage to engines? Have we had insurance claims turned in because of the ethanol problem with the mixture in gasoline?
Honestly, I'm not sure about the insurance claim issue, but I do know most certainly that small engines, such as weed eaters and the like, if you've got a weed eater that you put in your garage at the end of the summer and you take it out next year and you've had gasoline with ethanol in it sitting in it all winter long, it's not going to work. You're going to have to take it in and have it repaired. They're going to have to replace the seals and so forth because it's just sitting there all winter with that, even just 10% ethanol in the gasoline will ruin the engine. And so if you do have such tools, make sure you drain the gasoline out of them before you put them away for the winter. And boat engines don't work. They specifically will say don't use gasoline with ethanol in them and so forth. So there are definitely problems, especially for the smaller engines. And as your caller said, you get better gas mileage with a gasoline that does not have any ethanol in it. So it actually, a small percentage of ethanol does increase the octane, it decreases your MPG.
Absolutely. Now, another part of your story that I found very interesting is that the United States is sending much less as far as feedstocks to animal usage than they were years ago. I mean, it's down substantially, and more of it is going to the ethanol for fuel, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And that was a real interesting thing. I spent a lot of time on the phone. I actually spent an hour on the phone with the author of this study from the University of Michigan that I based my column on, because I read his whole report, and frankly, I hate to admit that I'm this stupid, but it was way too scientific for me. I totally could not understand it. I read the whole thing. It's 19 pages. I read it, each paragraph, basically 3 times, and I couldn't understand it. And so I spent an hour on the phone the Friday night before I wrote. I spent an hour on the phone with him trying to understand it. And this was a big concept. What you've mentioned there was a big part of the concept, because in the United States, most of the corn that goes to make ethanol is not the sweet corn that we are accustomed to eating at a barbecue in the summer. It's corn that formerly went to feedstock, meaning that it fed the cows and the pigs and the chickens, and therefore ultimately goes into our food supply. But it was feedstock. Well, because now the percentage of land that has gone, that used to go to feedstock that's now going to ethanol, has changed dramatically, but yet we're not eating less. We're still eating cows and pigs and chickens, and we still need that feedstock. So what's happened is a lot of that feedstock is coming from countries such as Brazil. And they had formerly, that land was formerly used for grazing of livestock. And because that land was flat, it was easy to convert to cropland. Though that livestock has now been pushed out into the forest, and they've cut down the trees and burned down the forest to make more room for the livestock. So you see there's a global impact to our ethanol regulations.
Marita, when you look at the climate change theory, and I've got to be honest with you, I'm not totally devoid of any knowledge on this. I've read quite a few books. I cannot buy into the climate change theory. I can never buy into the Al Gore, the sky is falling, or the George Soros funding of all this, etc. And I think if anything, we're in a cyclical change. I believe that we're going to be going into a cooling trend. A lot of my friends at the Heartland Institute in Chicago have been on the air talking about this. What are you hearing about climate change? I just don't think the American public really buys into it like the government would like us to think.
No, they most definitely do not. They do not buy into it, and that's the polls show that. But they show that it's not a big concern. We see that with the elections currently. That Donald Trump is, he's come out and said that he thinks the whole thing is a hoax, and Hillary Clinton is basing a lot of her campaign and her energy policy on it. But when you look at the polls, as to where does climate change fall, what does the electorate, care about, climate change is way down at the bottom of the list. Repeatedly, on many polls from groups such as the Pew Research Center, from Gallup, we're talking about major nonpartisan polling organizations here, and climate change repeatedly comes in at the bottom of public concern.
When you look at...
I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that crazy accusations have been made, and they just plain have not come true. And so people are like saying, we're tired of this sky is falling story.
Yeah, one of those claims, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, was like Al Gore had said 10 years ago that Mount Kilimanjaro would be absent of any snow on its mountaintops, and as a matter of fact, there's more snow up there today than there has been in years previous.
Yeah, I'm not sure of that claim exactly, but yeah, there's many like that. I'm quickly skimming through my Facebook page while we're talking because I posted a cartoon a few days ago that fits in perfectly in this conversation if I can get my hands on it. But I'd encourage your listeners, feel free to check out my Facebook page, search me Marita Noon at Energy Rabbit. Anyway, because everything I put on my Facebook page is for public, so even if you're not a Facebook member, you can still see it. Brad, I'm not finding this, but it's a great cartoon that shows years worth of climate change predictions that have all not come true. And if I could get my hands on it, which I don't seem to be able to, I would love to tell you about it.
Wouldn't you agree with me, though, Marita, that, and I'm going to sound like a political conspiracy theorist here, but I honestly believe that the only reason there is such a push for climate change and a prohibiting of certain energy programs, etc., is nothing more than for political dominance and control. That's my philosophy. What's yours?
I 100% agree with you. And by the way, I have found this cartoon. I won't read you the whole thing, but I'll give you just a couple highlights. 1970, we'll be in an ice age by 2000. 1976, global cooling will cause a world war by 2000. 1989, global warming and rising sea levels will wipe entire nations off the map by 2000. 1999, the Himalayan glaciers will be gone in 10 years. There you are. I'm just skipping some of these. 2007, global warming will cause fewer hurricanes. 2012, global warming will cause more hurricanes. I mean, those are just, I just picked a few of those out of there quickly. But that does give you, these are things that they've said. We all know that they've said these. And they just, finally, the public is kind of like sick of it.
But really, people like you, and God bless that we have a person like you, and there's not enough of those kinds of folks, are going to stand up and look right in the eye of these liberals that are out there preaching for solar and wind power and no more gasoline, no more drilling. We need to let them know about their absolutely cartoon atmospheres that have taken place in years past, and none of those things have come true, and they've yelled the sky is falling, but all they've done is hurt the American public, and they've hurt progress in this country.
Yeah, and I like how you said that they're preaching this, and that is true because it has most certainly become like a religion for these people, and you realize that religion is based on faith, not necessarily on fact. And that's what they have, a belief in this, that it's, and will not listen to anything else.
Absolutely. Anything else before I let you go today as far as energy is concerned, or anything that we're going to be talking about? I'm going to try to get you back on the air next week and make this a weekly visit with you if we can.
I'd love it. That'd be great. Thank you much, Seb.
All right. Marita Noon down in Texas, one of my very favorite people, author of Energy Freedom, and God bless her. Marita Noon, will have her back next week. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time, oh my goodness, it's time for the weather. And the weather is brought to us this hour by Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company, CPAs. I learned a long time ago, you've got to have help. And you've got to make sure that you are handling your money and your savings and your investments correctly to better serve you. Well, this is where these folks come in. They can help, and they will help. Curtis Pope, Todd Phillips, Rob Oakes, Mitch Goodwin, Heather Daly, Lydon Crane, all of these folks make up Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs, with 2 locations to serve you: 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. They can help you. They can help individuals that are maybe starting out in a brand new business. They can help people involved in agriculture with farming and ranching. They're very proud of our agriculture-based community, and they strive to serve them and everyone at Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. Right now, here's the weather, and we'll be right back.
Well, good Tuesday morning, and here's a look at what we can expect as far as weather is concerned for today. It is going to be mostly cloudy for this morning, but hopefully we're going to see some sunshine by this afternoon. A little on the breezy side, winds out of the northeast right around 12 miles an hour. Expect a high of 69 tonight, low of 46. Tomorrow, clouds are going to stick around. Only a high of 60, overnight low of 41. By Thursday, lots of sunshine in the forecast, high of 70 with an overnight low of 40. And then as we move on into the weekend, looks like sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-70s. Yesterday's high was 59. The overnight low was 48. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. She is great on that weather forecast, and it's brought to you by some really good folks, really good, knowledgeable folks that can help you. Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company, CPAs. Please get a hold of them today. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. All right, now it's your turn. Come on, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, I got some loose ends here I need to tie up. Number one, I'm going to be over at Ramsey Heating and Electric this Thursday, day after tomorrow, and we're going to do a remote broadcast celebrating Hats Off to Farmers and Salute to Our Military at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Now, with that remote broadcast, we're going to start at 8 o'clock with the broadcast, but we're going to be there much earlier than that at 7 in the morning for the biscuits and gravy served out in the parking lot by the Rupert Veterans Memorial. It's $3 a plate, and the proceeds go to help the Christmas Helping Santa Fund, where we help needy families in this area. So please stop by. It's only $3 a plate. Come on over to Ramsey Heating and Electric on Thursday. Now, then, during the broadcast, while we're over there, I need you to come into Ramsey Heating and Electric and register to win 2 free breakfasts at Denny's in Burley. And sponsoring that is Zeb at the Ranch, and we're giving you an opportunity to enjoy some great food at Denny's restaurant. And the winners will be announced in the last half hour of that broadcast. So get in there and register, okay? Then, also, I've been asking for, and I've received quite a few of them already, some really good ones, the anti-Hillary bumper Snickers. 6 words or less, and we're going to have a grand prize given to the winner, and keep them clean, please. Anti-Hillary bumper Snickers. Send those to me at zebattheranch@hotmail.com. Once again, Zeb at the ranch, 4 words, and then the @ hotmail.com. Get those to me as soon as you can. I need to have them by Thursday, so please get those emailed to me as soon as you can. All right, your turn. Calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say about all the different stories this morning that we have talked about. One story that we didn't talk too much about yesterday, we didn't have time, was in Los Angeles area, a college, Occidental College Republican Club, put out on last Saturday evening 2,997 American flags. And they were put in a certain area of Occidental College by a student organization called the Occidental College Republican Club. And one flag was placed for each of the 9/11 victims who had passed away. You know what they found on Sunday morning? 9/11 Sunday morning. All the flags had been picked up, had been put in a garbage sack, had been broken and destroyed, and the posters that had been put up were also torn down. The posters were celebrating the lives of the 2,997 victims. They've been torn down and thrown in the trash. I just can't imagine what's going on in this country, the United States of America. 4 students took it upon themselves to crush and snap several of the flags in half, and absolutely complete disdain for anything honoring the dead of 9/11. And how low does it go? How low does it go? Does it go lower than athletes sitting down during the national anthem? Multi-million-dollar athletes? Does it go lower than some absolutely devoid of any brain and common sense students trashing nearly 3,000 flags because they didn't like them there? I just don't know how much lower we can go in our thoughts and our deeds in this country. The liberal left, anything goes. No rules, no laws, no respect. How much lower can we go? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll tell you what they did, though, and I got to really hand it to these kids that were members of that Occidental College Republican Club. They went out Sunday morning and put new flags in the place of the ones that had been vandalized. And then they stood guard the rest of the day to make sure that none of these creeps and cretins came back and destroyed these flags for a second time. Good for them. Good for them. Don't forget our friends at Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. 336 South, 450 west of Paul. The number to call, 431-8733. Still time to get your trees trimmed. Still time to get a new lawn put in, seed or sod installed. Still time to put in a new sprinkler system or revamp your old one. And you know it's almost time to have your sprinkler system blown out for the winter. So get all this stuff done. Call Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service at 431-8733. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I understand that wheels, you've got a brand new set of wheels, and you're up and running again, right?
Yes, sir. That is the whole shebang of it all. I was looking for the right word, and that's the only one.
The whole shebang of it all. So you're back to driving again. You got your own set of wheels, and you're up and ready to terrorize the roadways.
Well, no. After my experience, I'm not ready to terrorize the roads yet, but it's definitely nice being able to drive again. That's for sure.
You are one lucky young man, and for those that didn't know, Wheels was in an auto accident. Fortunately, was not injured. Fortunately, the other party was not injured, and cars are replaceable, and that's what had to be done. But after all this experience, what's your words of wisdom to put out in front of the public today?
My words of wisdom would be definitely think ahead before you do anything. I know a lot of people are quick to pull out because they have to be somewhere in a hurry and everything, but that's kind of how it was for me. I was in a hurry, and you just kind of got to put into perspective that, you know, you got others on the road. Kind of like in driver's school, you got to realize that it's their lives too and not just yours. And when you're on the road, you can't really be selfish and think that, oh, well, you know, I only got 5 minutes to be to work, or I only got 10 minutes to be to an interview. Well, you know, take that time to, you know, be safe, and, you know, when you get to the location or to the job, wherever you're going, just, you know, politely let them know that,
Yep.
You know, I just wanted to make sure that I was safe, because in that instant, you know, I wasn't thinking about others, and it happened.
Or you can buy a wristwatch and leave 15 minutes earlier.
That's very true. There's nothing wrong with that. And,
Okay.
I've you know, had my time trying to come to work, but that's the thing, is I'm definitely getting better at, you know, leaving at an earlier time. I haven't been able to do that the past couple days.
Yeah, I noticed that. But, you know, I will say this to wrap it up. There's no sense having a Mexican road race. Just get up 15 minutes earlier. God bless you, man. I'm glad you're okay, and I'm glad you're back on the road again.
Thank you. That means a lot.
All right, buddy. Take care of yourself. We are going to go to the news from CBS. Don't go away. Oh, my. Kind of a cloudy, chilly day out there today. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers as our major sponsor. All 7 locations. Thank you very, very much. Along with some of our great advertisers, like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them today, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Okay. Hey, by the way, before we get started with Dr. History, excuse me, I love hay fever time. How about all those folks out there? Wave your white handkerchiefs. You got it too, I see. Don't forget, on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, with all the school clothes, all the jeans, shirts, coats, everything very reasonably priced. And don't forget, they've got layaway and gift wrapping is always free. Stop in and see them today at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And the other sponsor is Ambulatory Surgery Center, and they're located at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Ambulatory Surgery Center, the only facility in southern Idaho for glaucoma surgery, and don't forget outpatient surgeries, including life-saving colonoscopies. Call and get more information at 677-8888. There you go. Those two are the sponsors of Cassia County School Days. Right now it's time for Dr. History, brought to you by Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport, with old Zach and the rest of the outfit. And with us as our guest host for Dr. History today is a dear, dear friend of this program, and just absolutely a man I admire with all of his artistic abilities, Ray Bagby over at Declo. How are you, Ray?
Well, okay. I'm kind of chilly this morning, but how are you?
I am fantastic. I want to say up front, thank you for coming on the program this morning and sharing some of your great knowledge about the days gone by.
Well, I appreciate you asking me.
You know, Ray, let's kind of get right into this thing. You know all about old wagons and stagecoaches. You've built them by hand. You know exactly all the ins and outs. But let's go back to the Oregon Trail, for instance, way back in the 1840s. Don't you have to marvel a little bit as to the workmanship and the ability of those people to come all the way across a very unsettled terrain with all the rocks and the gullies and the hills and the mountains, and how their wagons and everything stood up under the stress? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's you know, Zeb, it's amazing that those people had head out for thousands of miles, you know, and everything they had in this wagon that could possibly be used, you know, to make it, to cook with, if they had a breakdown, it had to be a patch job of some kind. I don't know how they did it, really.
When you think about the wagons themselves, now what about the Conestoga wagons? What about the wagons that they used? What were they built like? How big were they? How much could they store in them? Tell us a little bit about that.
So for some reason, you keep cutting out on me. I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't know either, but I'm going to have the engineer take a look into that. As I said a minute ago, tell me, how did these wagons get built? How big were they? How much could they store? Give us a little background on that.
Okay, well, now the Conestoga wagon was, and everything I've tried to find out, the name Conestoga was never put on the side of a wagon, but they were built in the Conestoga Valley of Pennsylvania, and they started making them about 1730. And that style of wagon has been called the Conestoga, but it was a massive wagon, 16 feet long and great big wheels, and it took at least 6 or 8 oxen to pull this. And very few of them were ever on the Oregon or California Trail. They used a farm wagon. And the basic size of a farm wagon was 38 or 42 between the bolster standards, and 10 feet 6 long or 12 feet long. And, are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I'm really enthralled with what you're telling me, because it kind of dispels a lot of the old Western shows like the TV show Wagon Train and others. Those Conestoga wagons, I thought that was kind of the general mode of transportation.
Well, 99% of the wagons on those trails were regular farm wagons. They were light. As light as could be, because they had to pile everything they could in it, as far as a plow and some tools, machinery. And those great big wagons, they just couldn't pull them.
So the regular farm wagon was a regular mode of traffic on the trails.
Let's talk a little bit about the Conestoga itself. You said it was a great, big, heavy wagon that had to be pulled by 6 or 8 oxen. I mean, how heavy were those wagons, Ray?
Well, I'll bet, down there in Tremont, Eli has one, an original, and it was over 16 feet long, and I imagine that wagon empty weighed about 2,500 pounds.
Oh, my.
The back wheels were 5 feet and had 6-inch tire on them. And they were just massive wagons. They'd haul anything you could pile in them, but they were too much for that trail all the way to Oregon.
You know, when you think about it, Ray, with the big wagons, whether they were farm wagons or whether they were smaller versions of the Conestoga wagon, the way that the wheels would cut into the soil, it's amazing if it rained or, depending on the conditions, how they could ever get up one hill and down the other.
Yeah, and, it'd go into the mud, just keep getting deeper and deeper, and this far they come through here, in latter July and August, and that, hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Ray.
And that dust that would be 2 feet deep, it's a wonder it hadn't choked the animals to death.
Well, when you think about how they were built, and you've done this, you've built these wagons and stagecoaches by hand, do you marvel at how they had such great ingenuity 200 years ago?
I sure do. And one, of course, I'm demented, but I fell in love with the wagons and buggies 35 years ago. And every one I restore, it's almost like a scavenger hunt, seeing some of the marks, hammer marks in the iron and everything. I marvel at the guys that did this.
Ray, when you talk about the old Western movies, and I know you've seen these where all of a sudden the Indians are going to attack the wagon train, and they'll yell, circle the wagons, and they'll gallop the horses into a circle. That doesn't sound like it really happened that way, did it?
Those horses, they were just skin and bone, and, as far as getting much gallop out of them, it would have been tough.
What about the wagons? What did they try to take and put in the wagons, whether they were the smaller farm wagons or the big Conestogas? I mean, what did they have for equipment in case they had a breakdown?
Well, and I've read quite a bit when they had some brochures when they left St. Louis to take certain things, and of course a shovel, axe, and a pick, and a couple of cooking pans, and then of course all the flour they could haul and beans. But if the tire come off a wagon, that had to be trimmed up with something or cut and re-welded, and maybe there was a blacksmith on that wagon train, but blacksmith tools were terribly heavy, so I just don't know exactly.
When you look at the technology of building these old wagons with the axles and the wheels and the workmanship that they had back in those days, and then to go all the way across America to Oregon, you have to marvel they were way ahead of their time as far as knowledge was concerned, weren't they?
Well, they sure were. Yeah, and these guys were such good hands with their horses and improvising and fixing wheels and everything. They were just great people, period.
What about a breakdown? Like if they broke an axle, I mean, what did they do? How did they know what to do? Or if they lost a wheel and they didn't have a spare wheel or a harness that was maybe all broken up and couldn't be repaired, how did they go about refixing all that?
Well, I probably harness repair, they probably had some leather with them. Maybe they patched it. But a broken wheel would have been a major deal now, because it's quite an operation to build a new wheel in a shop. But to be out in the brush and drive new spokes and find some wood out there to replace and patch,
it was just amazing that they could have done it.
Well, let me talk to you a little bit about the livestock, and you know about the horses and the mules and the oxen. Boy, if you lost one or two of your animals along the road or along the trail, you might not make it anywhere, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm sure they didn't have any spare stock, so if a guy, say he was pulling a wagon with just a team, and one of his horses went by the wayside, I don't know what they'd do. Nobody else could loan me one because they had to have all of theirs. So maybe they put some of their stuff in several different wagons and walked the rest of the way and left the wagon. I just can't imagine what they did do.
You know, Ray, you're building, how about the stagecoach you're building right now? What is it? Is it in its final stages? Tell us a little bit about when it's going to be on display.
Well, it's just about ready for paint. And time we got to set the box off and then paint them two different colors, yellow and red. So every time I put a date it's going to be ready, I'm a year later. But I believe probably by the 1st of November it should be painted, assembled, and ready to hook onto.
Now, in the old days, when they were building these Concord stages that you're working on and building on your own, what about the paint? What about the preservatives? What about the wood? I mean, tell us a little bit about how advanced those people were back 165 years ago.
Well, of course, it started with the wood, and these companies, let's say Abbott and Downing that built the Concord, he had 15 guys working in Vermont. They'd buy a wood lot, they'd cut the trees, they'd rip saw them into boards and stack them with stickers and season it. The wood was the best that could possibly be found. And as it went in, and then the iron, for some reason, they imported what they called Norway iron at that time. And, of course, we've bypassed that many times since, but at that time, it must have been a superior iron. And then paint is one that's really fascinating. I guess they went out and got these rocks, a lot of it, and they crushed this up and made their own paint, mixed it with shellac, and made a paint that really shined and preserved that wood forever almost.
Wow. You know, it makes me wonder and ask this question, and we've talked about this before, Ray. How did they know? I mean, how did they know 165, 70 years ago what to do, how to do it? Was it trial and error? How did they know?
Well, there had to be a lot of trial and error. And they made this one, and then the next time they made one, they improved and improved and improved. And then there's one little story, if you don't mind me telling you.
Sure, go ahead.
About Studebaker. He was the biggest wagon and buggy maker in the United States. But he went to California in 1849 in the gold rush, but he couldn't find gold, so he went to making wheelbarrows. And the guy he was working for was using inferior stuff. And a guy come in the shop and says, well, this looks like a good one, and Wheelbarrow Johnny, they called him. He blew up and said, it ain't worth nothing. And he crashed to the floor and it broke. And the guy fired him. So he went down the street 2 blocks and opened his own shop. And he was famous for his wheelbarrows. And then in 1852, his brothers got hold of him. And he went back to South Bend, Indiana. And the 3 brothers made the biggest buggy and wagon making company in history.
Really? And was that the same family that eventually evolved into the Studebaker cars?
Same family, exactly. Yep. Yeah, they were one of the companies that evolved into motorized vehicles and everything. A lot of other companies didn't. And the last wagon manufacturing company was closed its doors in Fort Smith, Arkansas in 1952. They made the last wagon and quit.
Oh, my goodness. Ray, what about the influence of our wagon and coach makers here in this country? Did basically all of that come from, like, London and Europe, where it was passed on from generation to generation?
It had to be, because when they settled this country,
there was wagon builders that had been in England that came here and plied their trade here, which is a very important trade, blacksmithing and wagon building and all of that. So it had to start over there in Europe, in the European countries and England.
Well, now, on your stagecoach, what's the number one thing that you've learned about building stagecoaches or how they had to do it 160 years ago? What's the number one thing that you stood back and said, holy cow, I had no clue they had to do this?
Well, the bent panels on the side, and I've learned that I've got to keep Clint Anderson around here because he's the one that shaped them and fitted them. I don't think I ever could have. But to steam that poplar and cut it into a compound bend, it's straight on the bottom, it bends lengthways one way and then bends sideways the other way. And those compound bends hit those little groove mortises was one tough deal now.
Oh, my.
And that was the most technical and hard to get done right of the whole coach.
Now, you've built this from scratch. The cost in the old days must have been enormous at that time. What is a stagecoach like you're building right now today? What's it worth with all the blood, sweat, and tears?
Well, there's a Hanson wheel shop in South Dakota makes them. And they're top of the line, which I think ours is. They sell them for $110,000.
Oh my goodness!
But they go from $75,000 to $100,000.
In the old days, Ray, when
it's a specialty item, and it's almost every bit of it handwork and a lot of hours.
I see. In the old days, when they went to a stage depot, were there limits on how many bags they could have, how much weight could be in the bags? I mean, tell us a little bit about travel back in those days.
You know, Zeb, my phone cut out and I didn't hear the question.
In the old days, I was asking you, what about when they went to a stage depot and they bought a ticket for a stagecoach ride? Were they limited on baggage? Were they limited on what they could take with them? Talk a little bit about that.
They were limited on baggage. Let's say 9 people got in there. They could only haul so many pieces of luggage. So if some guy showed up with a great big trunk, they would have to say, you're going to have to leave some of that because we just can't haul it, or you get off stage, one or the other, because they just couldn't haul it.
How much weight? Now, most of the teams, tell me if I'm wrong, weren't most of the stagecoach teams about 6-horse hitches? How much weight could they pull?
Well, this coach here will weigh about 3,000 pounds, about 2,600. And then you put 9 people in it, say 150 pounds, maybe less. A driver, a shotgun guard, and then all that luggage on top, and possibly a strong box with some bullion, and then the back boot piled with mail sacks. Now, that was one heck of a lot of weight.
Oh, my goodness.
And 6 head of horses that were lighter horses. It was all they could pull for 15 or 20 miles and then change teams.
Now,
that loaded coach must have weighed pushing 4,500 pounds probably.
Now, we've talked about this in the past, and I want you to mention it again. The horses that were used, they had to be in top-notch shape. But again, Western movies portray the stagecoaches as galloping across the plains, and that's not true at all, is it?
It most certainly isn't. You know, if they could, depending on the terrain or flat road, they might go at a trot, even a long trot, for the 15 miles. But they had to stop and rest them. But this foolishness on TV of going in a dead run 15 miles would kill them. Well, they couldn't run that far anyway. They'd drop dead in a mile and a half. So, and I don't understand sometimes the director of these movies why they'll show such foolish stuff.
Absolutely.
I guess it makes a good movie.
Well, I can't wait to see in person this Concord Stagecoach over at Ray Bagby's. And Ray, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to come on our show again. You are a man of great knowledge, and boy, your handiwork is unparalleled. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Well, thank you, Zeb, and I look forward to seeing you and Deanne out here.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much. Ray Bagby and this man and his staff, great guys, have built from scratch an original Concorde stagecoach. And I just don't think that people here in the Valley really know and appreciate what a talent he is. Dr. History brought to you by Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley with Zach and the rest of the crew. They've got all your lumber. They've got lumber for remodeling your house. They've got lumber for any project you've got there. They've got all the shingles, whether it's metal or asphalt. They've got all the upgrade of your windows. Better think about that. Winter's right around the corner. They've got the Western windows to save on your cooling and heating bills. And, of course, they've got all the Tartar Farm and Ranch gates and panels. They've got it all right there for you at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. Telephone number 878-2091. And they sponsor Dr. History every Tuesday at 10:06. Boy, I enjoyed that conversation. And yes, I promised Ray that we were going to be going over there to see him sometime this week. I'm hoping I can get over there on Friday. I really want to see that stagecoach. By the way, we also want to say a big thank you to Elizabeth Coyle and her business, La Vintage Boutique at 1240 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Oh, it's a neat place. They've got so much over there. They're open Tuesdays through Fridays, 10:30 to 5:30, Saturday 11 to 4. And they've got all kinds of homemade items, great gift-giving ideas, wall hangings, framed artwork, clothing, antiques, home decor items. Oh, my. They just say, come on in, and browse. Just go around and look at everything in the store. You're going to love it. La Vintage Boutique, 1240 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Again, open Tuesday through Friday, 10:30 to 5:30, Saturdays, 11 to 4. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't you go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Welcome back to our final half hour. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch. Don't forget what's going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Are you tired of your partner snoring, Bunky? Well, they've got the solution over there. They've got the Beauty Rest Smart Motion Base powered by Sleep Tracker. It's a button, a snore button that automatically adjusts the bed to reduce snoring. Whoop, got it. You turn it up, turn it down, whatever, and you hear that snoring in the background. Well, you can eliminate that, and it can really work for a better night's sleep. Check it out today at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, serving you. You stop in and see about that snore button and that better sleep today. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and we have with us Mr. Daniel Greenfield on the phone. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hold on, sir. I have him on the phone, but he keeps fading in and out.
Oh, my goodness. I hope not. Let's try it again. Daniel Greenfield, can you hear me? Hopefully we'll...
I might have to reestablish the line.
Okay, reestablish the call. I'll do another commercial. How's that? Okay? Once again, we want to remind you we're going to have Daniel Greenfield on our program momentarily talking about Hillary, Benghazi, and other points of interest within her campaign for the presidency. So we'll have him on the air momentarily. And while I'm waiting, I also want to remind you again about our friends with Lennox. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering qualified rebates on Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. All you have to do is call them and find out more at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, they can save you money and increase your comfort. You check it out today. Wheels, do we have him back?
I do. I'm going to put him through.
All right, sir. Appreciate that. Once again, we're on the air right now with a journalism fellow at the Freedom Center in New York, and we welcome Daniel Greenfield to our program this morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm really good. I was interested in having you on the air in regards to Hillary Clinton keep insisting that no Americans died in Benghazi, which is one cog in the wheel with Hillary. It seems like she tries to minimize everything. What are your thoughts about what she said about Benghazi and not even mentioning the 4 Americans that died over there?
It's outrageous, and she's just blatantly lying. She's certainly just completely rewriting history. She's ignoring the lives that were lost, and she's certainly assuming that the public is just stupid, and so far that has been working out too well for her.
Daniel, why has the media in general not picked up on this and really told the entire story? Are they so much in bed with the Clintons that they will not say a word negative about Hillary or Bill?
The media has been pretty clear about who they want to win, and it's Hillary Clinton. So there's absolutely no mystery here, no suspense there. They want Hillary Clinton to win. They will report negative stories involving Hillary Clinton only when they absolutely very much have to.
What can you, as a journalist, and others like myself in the radio business with a talk show, what can we and what should we be doing to draw more attention to this because of a very biased media?
The basic rule on the ground is that if the story becomes a story, then the media will actually have to start covering it. They'll minimize it. They'll wash it. We're seeing this right now with Hillary Clinton's collapse. The media basically just refused to cover it. Then they began briefly dismissing it, which she was overheated. Then once foreign media outlets, particularly British ones, picked up on it, and once there was chatter on the radio and Twitter, suddenly they actually had to deal with it, and of course they're dealing with it in their usual manner by minimizing and lying and dismissing about it. But once you actually force them to address it, you've already won the first part of the battle. So just really discussing it, talking about it, not letting the media set the agenda is the key thing, because we do have a lot more power than we realize to drive the conversation.
Absolutely. Daniel, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, and let me ask you this. When you saw the video that was taken by a private citizen regarding Hillary trying to get into the vehicle Sunday morning and literally falling down almost below her knees, and the Secret Service had to catch her and put her in the vehicle, what were your thoughts when you saw that video as compared to some of the health reports that have been given to the media?
There's a pretty clear and blatant contradiction here. We're not being told the truth, and, the polls show most Americans now understand that. A poll shows that the majority of Americans don't believe that she has pneumonia, and the majority of registered voters, which is actually even worse for her. So people don't believe it, and really the ability of the Internet, the ability of private people just to get information out is really very crucial, because the media does not have a monopoly anymore. They're just frantically trying to play catch-up, and a lot of the time they're losing, which is a good thing.
As a journalist, again, I'll go back and revert back to your prestige as a journalism fellow at the Freedom Center. You must be appalled at the way journalism is being run and literally bought off in this country, because the power of the Clinton political machine, it seems like they have really told the media, you will take what we give you and you will broadcast it. That's all you're going to get.
It's troubling to see something. So, for example, the AP did a piece, the Associated Press did a piece. They had an extensive investigation. They looked into Hillary Clinton's schedule, and they noted that the majority of the private non-government people that she met with were Clinton Foundation donors. This was very scandalous. Trump picked up on it. Other of her critics picked up on it. The media quickly began attacking the Associated Press. And this was really a very fascinating look, because it shows how media bias happens. It shows the mechanism of it. There are enforcement mechanisms within the media. It's not just that everybody meets in secret in a dark room somewhere and says, this is the agenda for the week. What happens is that the more left-wing parts of the media bully the rest of the media. They threaten anybody who has ethics, who actually reports the news, and they intimidate them. There are overt groups like Media Matters, which is just pretty straightforwardly a Clinton campaign joint. But there are factions and groups within the media whose job it is to kind of enforce it and force everybody to toe the line.
You know, when you look at these stories like Benghazi, and persons like myself have been criticized for keep asking questions about Benghazi, keep wanting to know why our Americans over there were not protected, and we're told that that's old news.
And for good reason, because the United States ambassador has been murdered. We know that we've been lied to. We know about this point that the various investigative process were whitewashes. And at the end of the day, the families want answers.
You know, but will we ever get those answers? My question to you would be, have we gone so far down that bleak, dark road of controlled media by the government here in this country? Can we ever restore values to journalism again?
Well, I don't know if we can restore objectivity, that fundamental idea, without really taking on the forces that are destroying objectivity in the left. So that's really the major challenge. At what point are we activists? At what point are we actually just trying to tell the story no matter whom it hurts? And again, I don't know that there is very much objective journalism at this point in the country, because it requires actually just not being for any side, and there really isn't an institutional culture that respects that. So I think for the first part, once the left is defeated, hypothetically speaking, once the forces that have actually distorted the media are defeated, it might be possible to restore this kind of culture of objectivity. But at this point, I don't really see it having root anywhere.
What about Donald Trump? He's not absolutely America's number one pick for the presidency on many people's list, but he's not getting a fair shake. He's not getting equal and fair press. And what about Donald Trump? What are your thoughts about him possibly winning in November?
That's certainly an interesting phenomenon. He is not getting a fair shake, as you've said, and the media in this case is being increasingly blatant. So, I mean, the media officially will say we're objective. In this case, in Trump's case, increasingly you're hearing calls, well, we should not even pretend to be objective when it comes to Trump. We should do everything to stop him. You're hearing this from major media outlets. You're hearing this from the Washington Post and so on. So the media, in a way, Trump is getting these people to take off their masks, to stop even pretending that there's any kind of fair play, that everything isn't rigged. So it's certainly a sea change, and probably not a good one, but at the same time, just having these people come out of the closet and be blatant about it, be blatant about their bias, I think is a good development in a way also.
When you look at the overall media, whether it's television, whether it's radio, or whether it's the printed machine in media, are there those that are still being objective and very honest, or has everybody kind of fallen into lockstep with this negativity that's going on today?
There are varying degrees of bias. There are people in the still doing their jobs. You do have incidents like the Associated Press I mentioned previously, and you had not that long ago Bob Woodward of Watergate. He mentioned that Obama administration people had threatened him after he wrote a piece, and a lot of the left-wing media converged on him for it. They denounced him, they mocked him, they ridiculed him, just for saying that he had actually been threatened by the Obama administration. So this is kind of where we're at. They're trying to do their jobs, but in many cases they are not being allowed to do them.
You know, you're a writer that focuses on radical Islam, and I have said for a long time on this program, we've been more than lucky since 9/11 that we haven't had another huge hit. What are your thoughts about radical Islam and what's going on with the infiltration?
Yeah. Well, we're seeing certainly in Europe, for example, these kinds of smaller-scale attacks. We saw that in Orlando also. This was 49 people dead. And to some extent, the future might just be that we have enough Muslim immigrants in the United States that they can actually self-start, which is where a lot of the violence is coming from in Europe. And they can just carry out their own attacks. Some of these plots will fail, but some of them will succeed. And you have huge, you have ISIS investigations now in every single state. You have a larger, growing number of terror plots that have just been broken up. So I don't think that we've been immune. Just the character of the plots has changed. But, you know, when one person can kill 49 people, that's in some ways almost as disproportionate as September 11th.
Now, your knowledge as a writer, I'm going to ask you this last question. We live in an area that is bringing in quite a few of the refugees, and they want to bring in a lot more, and even some of the Syrian refugees. What are your thoughts of warning and possible danger that we might incur?
There's a great deal of danger, in fact, a great deal of it. Germany, for example, just broke up an ISIS terror plot involving 3 Syrian refugees. And this is not the first such plot. It's not the first time that Syria has been used as a vehicle for this. Even in a poll taken in a refugee camp, 13% of the supposed refugees supported ISIS, almost a third supported Al-Qaeda. I won't even cite the statistics for support of the less controversial Islamic terror groups. For example, particularly those targeting Israel, because those are off the charts. So there's widespread support for terrorism. ISIS has been able to get people in by claiming to be refugees. Screening is utterly meaningless. This represents a major threat, and again, we're not taking in the people who are most victimized, Yazidis and Christians. They've taken in a few dozen Christians and thousands of Muslims. So we're absolutely behaving in ways that are guaranteed to ensure another terror attack.
Daniel, one final thought. We're always told that they're vetted. We're always told that we're not being good Americans or good Christians if we don't allow them in. But yet it's such a huge drain on our Social Security system and also our taxpayers in general. When does the milk of human kindness have to take and let reality sink in? We can't afford much more of this.
We can't, and in fact, we're not helping the people who need the most help, who are the Christians, who are 10% of Syria, but at the same time, we've let in maybe 65 of them. We're helping people who, frankly, are part of the problem, and they're making the problem worse, and we really have to, in general, to rethink immigration, because we're taking in 1 million people a year. We cannot sustain that. We're boosting the unskilled labor force, and we're pushing Americans out of work.
I really appreciate your taking the time to come on this program. A Showman Journalism Fellow at the Freedom Center in New York, Daniel Greenfield, thank you so much for being on my program, and I'll look forward to having you back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. God bless. Thank you very much. You heard what he said. You heard what he mentioned about the refugees coming into this area. He said to be very, very wary. And yes, we're going to be incorporating more problems. He said the screening is utterly meaningless. Those are his words. Screening, the vetting process, utterly meaningless. We don't know who these people are. And yet, I'll go back again and repeat myself. Here we have our wonderful local newspaper, the Times News. Everything is all right. They've been vetted. It's okay. The CSI Refugee Center, the Twin Falls City Council. Oh, yeah. They know so much more than you and I. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, it's amazing what the local paper will do. I mean, like I say, I need to cancel the thing, but I need to know what they're doing, I guess. I noticed that they were giving an award in Pocatello to the, CSI Refugee Center Director, ZZ.
Yeah.
And I don't try to pronounce his last name. But it's not an award here in Twin. It's in Pocatello, where they fancy themselves as enlightened liberals. And but we had to read about that this morning in the paper. And the truth of the matter is these people are taking us down a path that we may never recover from.
Randy, let me ask you a quick question here. Who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the Times News? Are you going to believe the Refugee Center and CSI? Are you going to believe Berriger and the rest of the city council? Are you going to believe a writer that spends his life looking at and reading and studying and reporting on Islam and Islamic problems in this country? Who are you going to believe, Randy?
Well, you got to believe. You can't believe the people from the paper. You can't. They're so in the tank. It is, this is the thing. They are going to perpetuate the very downfall of the country. Then either they are so, idealistically driven, or they don't care, or they're getting somehow, there's some sort of benefit to it for them. I don't know. We're in such a mess. This is relative to the situation, Zeb. Did you see what Jason Chaffetz yesterday did?
Yes, I did.
He gave a subpoena to one of the head people at the FBI because they're holding out information. But my point with that is this. The State Department, the FBI, the whole government that is of the that we're supposed to be in charge of is so foul
Yep.
that our FBI, that they told me is a stand-up guy, my you-know-what. You see, how long will it take if we do elect Trump to clean up these ticks that are under the skin who are so engorged with blood?
I can't answer that question, but all I can tell you is this, that when I heard that report against the FBI, and I heard what Chavez had said, I thought to myself, of all the agencies that we have grown to trust over the many, many years with their honest reporting to the American public, the FBI and James Comey have thoroughly let me down. Randy, I got to get a weather in here, and I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. Caller number 2, don't you dare hang up. I'll be right with you. I got to get this weather forecast in quickly from Scarrows Meats. I'll be right there. 331 North Road, Jerome Scarrows Meats. Changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. They are your hometown meat cutter, locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew serving you the best. Here's Gina with the weather.
Well, good Tuesday morning, and here's a look at what we can expect as far as weather is concerned for today. It is going to be mostly cloudy for this morning, but hopefully we're going to see some sunshine by this afternoon. A little on the breezy side, winds out of the northeast right around 12 miles an hour. Expect a high of 69 tonight, low of 46. Tomorrow, clouds are going to stick around. Only a high of 60, overnight low of 41. By Thursday, lots of sunshine in the forecast, high of 70 with an overnight low of 40. And then as we move on into the weekend, looks like sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-70s. Yesterday's high was 59. The overnight low was 48. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Great weather forecast. Thank you, Gina. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Yep. Changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Caller, thank you for your patience. Go ahead, you're on the air. Thank you.
Yes, my grandfather on my dad's side was an immigrant from England. And before they could come over, they had to have enough money, for the passage, and also probably enough money to get them to where their destination was. The government didn't do that. He was a member of the Mormon Church, and I think there was probably help there. But, can you imagine you come to Ellis Island, and they stamp you and say, okay, you're good to go, and they put you on a ferry and send you over to New York, and you're on your own.
Yeah.
The government never did anything for my grandfather.
I'm just sick and tired, Keith, I'm sick and tired of the American public not knowing and understanding that with the refugees that are coming in here, it is a drain on our Social Security fund. They're going to get it for 7 consecutive years. The refugees also receive free housing, health care, education, etc. on the taxpayer's dime. I don't know about you, Keith, but I absolutely say, wait a minute, stop. We have our senior citizens in this country that are always taking less, and now they're going to be getting far less because of a refugee insurgence into this country. And I say, stop. We've got to look at our bottom card, and that's protecting our people first.
Well, they come here just like they're a little baby, because our government takes them in their arms and says, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, and everything else. They came from nothing, and so they think America is a land of milk and honey, and they're just going to take us for all they can.
Appreciate your call as always, my dear friend. Thank you so much. No, my animosity...
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. My animosity is definitely not at the refugees per se. God help them. I know they're going through some very trying times, very tough times, very deadly times in their country. But wait a minute, stop. We don't know who these people are. We don't know the backgrounds of these folks. We do not have a vetting process. We do not have the money right now, quite frankly, in our economy to take on all comers and dip into our Social Security fund, take away from you and you and you and me to provide these services and amenities to people coming in. And we don't know really who these people are or what their purposes might be. Yep, I'm concerned. You should be too. And I'm definitely going to take the words of somebody that studies it, writes it every day for major newspapers and writings across the United States, more so than I am local newspaper and a local CSI refugee center. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely doing a good job for you and your driving safety. Right now, they're having a fall tire sale. And I mean, they're having a fall tire sale. They've got that great tire for the pickups and SUVs, the Open Country MT. Outstanding traction, aggressive tread design. It's going to do the job for you. Absolutely. And they have the best tire value promise in the industry. Free peace of mind tire protection, lifetime tire and mileage care. Oh my goodness. They really back their tires. And of course, another thing that they're really good at, best brake value promise in the industry with professionally trained technicians and the brake industry's best warranty. There you go. All of this plus front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries with really knowledgeable people. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. What have we got cooking tomorrow? Well, got quite a few different personalities coming on the program tomorrow. We have Dave Beagle from Indianapolis, Indiana. Deanne, we better call him and make sure he's not en route to someplace tomorrow. And then also my buddy Jack Euler's going to come on and talk about the increasing problem with the wolves here in the Northwest. He's the man that has all the knowledge. And then we're going to have our report from the Idaho Fishing Game. Kelton Hatch will be right here in the studio and reporting on the fishing game for tomorrow. The full hour from 10 to 11 o'clock. Now, that leads me up to Thursday. We're going to be at Ramsey Heating and Electric on the morning of this week, Thursday the 15th, celebrating Hats Off to Farmers and saluting our military. Remote broadcast for 3 hours, but we're actually going to start at 7 in the morning with a breakfast furnished out in the parking lot. Biscuits and gravy. It's going to be delicious, served by the Rupert Veterans Memorial, and the proceeds are going to go at $3 a plate, only $3 a plate, to the Christmas Helping Santa Fund. That's going to be Thursday morning, and we really want you to be there, okay? We're going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today, and we'll be back again tomorrow morning at 8:06 right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. And always remember this: the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow morning.